Hey y'all, I'm Sarah. Welcome to another episode of Widow Wit and Wisdom. It is November the 4th, 2025. I am sitting here, decided to record today because I actually will be home all week due to my dog having had an unexpected surgery. So I thought I would share with y'all today my processing journal and how I deal with and get through my big grief season because I am in it. I am smack in the middle right now. I am just under a month from the anniversary of my husband's passing. So this is my barometric pressure can get huge, big storms, lots of hills to run. It can be chaos. And it has been, like, shit has hit the fan so much. But I have to say, I have noticed that while I was terrified coming into this hurricane season, all the work I've done, all the practice, all the previous storms and learning how to rebuild all the tools that I have ever picked up have really come in clutch this hurricane season. And it has just become second nature now. And I love seeing that. So I thought I would share with y'all a little bit of how it's been going over here. And if you need a laugh, you will definitely love some of this because, oh my God. Anyway, buckle up, buttercups, because this is going to be a hurricane season update journal style. And as always, right here, I got to give you the trigger warning. Okay, I will say and do things that may upset you, may trigger you, that you may not agree with. That's okay. I'm not judging you. Please don't judge me. I'm just trying to share with y'all how I'm doing this. Because maybe somebody can learn from it the way I have and definitely have a laugh at my expense because, oh my goodness. Anyway, you've been warned. Okay, this is just my process, what I do as my journaling and just processing things. Really the journaling these days because it is faster and easier for me to transcript this and then pop it in a journal. Be like, there you go, wrote it. But this is my steps that I take, especially during my big grief season, which is September through January. And today is November the 4th, 2025. Oh my gosh. And yeah, like, how are we doing? Holidays are coming up. We are now, 3 weeks out from Thanksgiving. And I personally am also 3 weeks out from the 9-year anniversary of Jeff's death. So this is the part where I check in with myself, see how I'm doing. Does anybody else do that? Is it just me? So during my big grief season, I usually sit down during maybe about August or early September when it really starts to hit and usually try to make a plan. Like, what am I going to be doing for the holidays? Or what do I want that to look like? This year, I did not get the chance to do that. This year has just been an absolute nightmare shit show with a ton of stress, a ton of anxiety, a ton of overthinking. And so when I hit that big hurricane season, I was just like, I don't even have the capacity to make a plan. I'm exhausted. So I just rolled into this one like, oh my God, I'll do the best I can. But what I did do it was like right around our wedding anniversary in early September, I did sit down and while I didn't have a plan and hadn't made any plans, I did do what were my goals like I usually do, but I did get the goals part written down. So let's start there. What were my goals and how am I doing on that? My goals, bless. The first one was, oh, my dog is sneezing in the background. I'm sorry. The first one was just go with what feels best. No plans, just go where my heart and gut tell me to go. And don't overthink it. I maybe should have put a few more boundaries on that. Although I haven't had time to overthink anything so far. All right, that was my kind of number one goal. Or the first one I wrote down. I wouldn't say it was my number one. But the next one I wrote down was be present in the moment. And I underlined present. And make lots of memories. Yes, I have been... I've been very present in the moment because there has been a lot of freaking moments. And there has been some memories. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to get into that. My next one was connect with others more, especially in an authentic and meaningful way. And that was my number one in my head of like, how am I going to get through this like grief season where I have just so much other stress going on? And it was like, I'm just going to do my best to connect with other people as much as I can in whatever way I feel like I need to connect with them. And again, I maybe should put some boundaries on that one because I have definitely connected with a lot of people. So actually doing pretty good on that one. The next one was just be me, show up excited and open and wholeheartedly soaking up and learning as much as I can in every moment. Just be myself, just be authentically who I am that day and be okay with that. Just give myself the grace to just be me. And boy, have I. Boy. People have gotten the absolute realist reactions out of me in this hurricane season. Again, can't wait to get into that. And of course, always on my list of goals and plans is be the light in someone's day, even if it is my own, and give myself and others, especially this time of year, as much grace as possible because this time of year sucks. For me, I know it does, and I know it also does for many other people. So just give grace. And then the next goal was remember, we are all doing the best this time of year. And then last on the list, I just wrote pray like crazy, be grateful, and survive it. One of my other big goals was let the laughter outweigh the tears. And it, for sure, it has. But anyway, so those are my goals for this grief season. And I wrote that again back in September. And here we are in November. And so far, I would have to say I'm doing pretty good. I'm crushing it. All right. So I'll get into all of how I'm crushing it, what I've learned, and yeah, how it's going. Oh my God, y'all. It has been so much hilarity. So with all my goals and lack of plans, I have to say September actually went really good. I had lots of fun moments. I reconnected with friends. I got out. I did things with people. I was doing good. Work was going great. I really felt like, all right, I've got this. It's going to be a good one. Finally, going into year 9. I think I'm going to be okay, even with everything, like not really having a plan. And then October hit. Quite literally, just a few days into October, I came home from work, like things were going great. Again, I was like, man, I'm feeling pretty good. Like I've got this. Maybe this connecting with people thing is pretty good. And then I got home from work one day and I came home I noticed buzzards and I had my very first dead chicken. A predator had gotten the chicken. And so I go outside and I'm like, oh crap. And I'm brokenhearted that one of my chickens is gone. It turned out to be a hawk, which was still in the vicinity and got a piece of my mind and a piece of my 9. But anyway, but as I'm like, oh no, I've got a dead chicken. I've got to go clean this up. I come back into the house and I was going to wash my hands. And I flip the sink on and there is no water. Great. Are you kidding me? But I did not panic immediately because there's been no water before. I was just like, my instant reaction was, are you kidding me? I do not want to deal with this right now, but I have to. No choice, right? Widow. No one else is showing up. So I immediately text both my dad and my son. And I'm like, I have no water over here. I'm going to go just start checking things, but I need help if anybody is available. And so I start checking, make sure it's not just the kitchen sink, and then head outside and make sure it wasn't the main water. And I start heading to the well house. My dad calls and he's, hey, ants can get in your well house and they can mess with the electrical. You need to go and check your well house for ants. And I was like, what? Ants? Okay. There's nothing for them to eat in there. And I got in there and sure enough, there was ants. And my son had also shown up and he knocks the ants off and it turns back on. Me and all my brilliance and glory and knowing absolutely nothing about the water except where the well house is. I was like, oh, okay, there's ants. You just have to kill the ants, right? So I go grab the ant spray And I did not realize, and this was a huge learning moment, that you should probably make sure you turn the breaker off. I just didn't even think. You should really turn the breaker off before you spray the ant spray. Yeah. So I did that. I sprayed it and the breaker was not off and it caught on fire. Now, at first it was just a little flame and I was like, oh shit. And I thought it was going to go out and then it didn't. It got bigger. Like it got much bigger. And I literally was just standing there like moments before I had been cussing the world. Fuck this. I hate this shit. I'm sick of this shit. And then all of a sudden this thing catches on fire. And I was just like, oh, wow. Okay. That got expensive quick. Like, like I have no clue what to do right now. And I literally just kind of stood there and was like, yep, that sucks. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I see a streak coming at me and I get pushed to the side and my son shows up with a fire extinguisher and he puts it out. And I literally just stood there and laughed hysterically. I was like, the comedy of that situation. I mean, are you kidding me? I got the fucking wellhouse. But then, of course, I had to take a day off work because I had to call the well people out to come and fix it. But I learned a lot while they were here. I had them show me all through the well house how everything works and where the breaker was so that next time I need to spray the ants, I can turn the breaker off first. And that was also me connecting with people. I got to meet new people from the area, and I actually have since run into several of the guys that fixed my well out here in the hardware store when I was in there buying parts for other things that I have broken since then, like my air conditioner. So, yeah, and that was just days into October was the well house fire. So I had to take a day off work for that, which was stressing me out because it's a huge inconvenience for them, for me. I don't get paid a single paycheck. I'm a widow. Like that's the only income I have. But I didn't panic about it. I was just like, okay, I have to fix this. I don't really have a choice. I thought it was just one day, except I also had a jury summons. I had to show up for jury duty that next week, Monday. And so I had taken off that next week already. So I was already like, oh, I'm really going to be stretched for paying the bills. But again, I was like, you know what? We set in our goals that we're going to just take it where it comes. So apparently we're meant to be at jury duty. Let's go do it. And you said you wanted to connect with people. That's going to be a lot of people. I never dreamed, however, that I would get chosen for jury duty. So I show up there Monday for jury selection. Now, the last time I had jury duty, not only was this a huge inconvenience for me right now financially, I was a little bit concerned about how I was going to react to it because I have only actually been called for jury duty twice where I could actually go. And the last time the selection process took 2 days, it was a lot of sitting there and nothing to do. And also the last time I did that, I realized as I was walking into the building that the last time I had been in that courthouse was to probate Jeff's will. So when I was there for that first jury selection, I was super triggered. I was overthinking. My brain was just an absolute chaos. It was hard for me to even be there, just aware of what was going on. Like everything was just vibrating inside me. And I did not get selected for that first one. But then this time I went in thinking it was going to be like the next time. So I'd already taken off that week and prepared for the courthouse. I'm going into this wholeheartedly. I've got this. I'm just going to enjoy the moment, meet people, and I'm not going to get picked. So I'll just be there like maybe Monday and Tuesday. And I just started my grief coaching course. And so I was like, oh, this is perfect. I can get the books read in the downtime during jury selection on Monday. So I had a plan. And then the day of I realized that at some point in there, I want to say it was like that Friday when I checked it online to make sure we had to show up on Monday. I was like, gosh, that Monday is Columbus Day. Surely the court's not going to be open because when all of that shit went down with my husband back in 2016, one of the things was they didn't have court open that day on Columbus Day because it was a holiday. And so I was like, oh, I'm not going to have to do it. But we did. And they even said something while we were in there about it being Columbus Day. And honestly, the only time I even thought about that, and usually this time of year, knowing that was such a big part of Jeff's suicide, was those like court dates and things like that. I am so surprised that I was not fully triggered by that or just like angry and raging, like, how could you be like, you're having court today? Why couldn't you have had it then? I really literally had that thought for a split second and then never again. That was, I guess, all the work is paying off moment for me. But I had the potential to really be triggered there, and I wasn't. I literally was, I enjoyed the process. I did sit there and just read my books. I also talked to people here and there, but mostly I just focused on my coursework, at least during the jury selection part. I did get picked, but I was so far down in the count, like I thought there was no way I got picked. It turns out I was the alternate, but I enjoyed it because I've always wanted to serve on jury duty. I've always wanted to do that and just never could because at first I was a stay-at-home mom and then I was helping with my mom. And so I never got the opportunity to do it until now. And so I wanted to, but this time it really wasn't convenient for like financially or timing wise. It just wasn't convenient. So I was really surprised that I was not more triggered by that. And again, that I really did just enjoy it. It was great being the alternate because I got to sit in on the jury and see how that works, but I didn't have to make the actual decision or anything. Like I wasn't part of that. So I was grateful for that because I love a good true crime, that was like being in real time and seeing it, which I found so cool and so fascinating. But I was, again, glad that I didn't have to render that decision because I don't know, it just pulls at my heart. But anyway, so yeah, jury duty was interesting for many reasons. Again, I could have been very triggered by the attorneys. The last time I went in for jury selection, the attorneys, I had a more aggressive energy. I spoke up more and that kind of thing. And obviously that's why I got cut. This time I kept my mouth shut. And when I got picked, it was like the Price is Right. I was actually excited. But I just didn't react at all I didn't feel any kind of anxiety or overwhelm to the fact that I was in a courtroom and there were lawyers and like Jeff had been here and felt these things. I just didn't have that this time. And so therefore I was able to be more present and just enjoy the process, which was really nice. And I realized actually in the middle of the trial, I'm sitting there and I realized, oh my gosh, I should be so triggered right now, or I should be like spinning out right now, and I'm not. And I'm, yay, I giggled. Whoops. Anyway, so it was just that was a really good feel good moment for me where I was like, all right, the work is paying off. Things are feeling and going better. And also a little bit of, wow, that's weird. So weird to feel that way. I'm like, is this how other people feel? Normal people? But yeah, so things got very chaotic, very quick for me. Could have spiraled, but didn't because wellhouse fire, then jury duty, being off work, being around that many people and triggers. But again, I was okay. So after jury duty, it felt like a win. I was like, okay, all right, I'm back on track. I got this. I think we're good. That went pretty good. I should have known. But in all my things are going great. We're going to continue to connect and try to do things and meet people and get out more. It was our little, I guess you would call it like a fall fair time of year down here. And it was going to be the one here locally to my area. And so I reached out to my friend that has just moved to the area also. And I was like, hey, I really want to go on Saturday night to the concert at the fall festival. Do you and your husband want to go with me? And they said, sure. So that is unusual for me for several reasons. I hate crowds. I always have. I've never been comfortable in a crowd like without Jeff ever. And even with Jeff, he was literally the only thing that ever made it okay for me. I always get awkward. So that was a stretch, but I was like, okay, like we're going with the vibe. Let's try this. And again, to reach out to people, I just have stopped doing that. But I've tried really hard this time of year again to do that now. So I was like, all right, we're going to go. I reached out to her. She's, yeah, we want to go with you. We'll pick you up kind of thing. And so we had plans and I was really excited about it. And I was like feeling good about it. And we did. We had a great time. Don't get me wrong. But right before, like, again, I was planning on it. I was excited about it. And I go to get in the shower at 4 p.m. to get ready. They were going to pick me up later in the evening. I've been out in the barn helping my son with some stuff all day long, sweaty and disgusting. And I come in the house to take a shower and get ready for this evening that I am very excited about. And my air conditioner is dumping water in the floor. Again, not the first time this has happened. It literally went out days before my mom's funeral when everybody was going to be here, like the last time it had done that. So I knew what to do. I let my son know. I was like, hey, if you have a minute, I know you're super busy, but if you have a minute, my AC's messed up. I'm not really worried about it right now. I grabbed the shop vac. I cleaned it up. I tried to clean it and get it all, everything out of there as best I could, and then just turned it up. I was like, I'm not going to be here this evening anyway. No big deal. I'll deal with it tomorrow. And for 1 second, maybe, I got a little bit frustrated here and there because just small interruptions kept happening. But I was just like, is this a sign? Should I maybe cancel on them and say, I'm not going to go? Maybe this is a sign I shouldn't go. But I was like, no, I've really been looking forward to this. I really want to do this, so I'm not going to let this AC problem stop me. And I was just like, you know what? Laugh it off. It's working for right now, at least good enough for right now. It's not dripping anymore. We're good. And so I did that. And I had told my son, and he was like, yeah, I'll look at it later. And so I was like, I'm just going to leave it in his and God's hands at this point and go have fun. And I did. We had a great time. I love them. They are such great people. They are so much fun. They are such a cool family. I just love them. I love their faith. I love their family. I want to hang out with them more. So I'm so very glad that I did that, that I, stepped out of that comfort zone, especially this time of year when that is so abnormal for me. I'm usually really closed off this time of year. So I'm glad I did that because it was a lot of fun. I did not, however, get the AC fixed. I thought, clean it up, it'll work fine. I just had it replaced 3-4 years ago when Mom died. How can it already be broken? I limped it along for about a week. It started leaking again like a couple days later, and I cleaned it up again thinking, okay, I got it. And then I did go get a window unit to install. But by that point, I had already called the AC guy because it did eventually, I limped it along again a few days, a week, and then it just started dumping water one day. So I took the day off work and I went and got a window unit, and I called the AC guy and they came out to fix it. They were actually super prompt, which being out here where I live is incredible. So were the well guys, which again, that's so nice because I live literally in the middle of nowhere. But they got that fixed, and I learned, again, just like with the well house, I videoed everything inside the AC. I had him show me everything inside the AC and how to work it. The drain line was just very clogged. I live on a farm. There's lots of animals. There's lots of dust, especially we are in a huge drought. So the drain line just was disgustingly clogged. And he showed me how to actually get into access it better and all that kind of stuff. So that was nice. I learned something, and he was very nice. There you go. Another human connection. Nice kid. But I had to put in this window unit, and it will help with the AC because this room that I'm sitting in gets very hot during the day. So I did put in the window unit anyway, even though the AC guy showed up. But I decided I can install that myself. I was wrong. It's a little bit heavy, and it does say in the instructions when I finally picked them up to have 2 people. So I got it just so far, and then I called my dad, and I was like, oh my gosh, Dad, I need your help. I'm trying to put this in and waiting on the AC guys and all that. And so he comes over, and we laughed so hard putting in this stupid window. Dad and I should not be allowed to do projects on the farm together ever. It takes us twice as long to get anything done because we're laughing so hard about the shit we're doing wrong and the fact that we have no clue what we're doing. But anyway, we did get the window unit installed, and it is working. I did get my AC fixed. And so I, again, didn't freak out and panic. Normally I would, this time of year, that just would have been like one more wait. I didn't. I just took it with the moment, and that's different. It feels good. Again, it was a place where I feel like all the practice, all the work, all the steps I've taken, everything I've done to be okay, and using those hills I've run before, the other broken water pipes, the other AC fixes. I just am not reacting to things. I'm not as triggered and as quick to just spiral. And that feels really good because at the beginning of this year, I was in a super dark spiral again. And so I was really worried that going into this hurricane season, that was going to be the case because I was already coming in so raw. There is still like a lot of stress and stuff that is happening, but I am just rolling with it at this point because I got through the AC fix and back to work and everything was going good again. And then my dog, his Horner syndrome and his IBDD flared up. And so I had to take a day off work last week, Monday, to take him to the vet. We had to get back on all the steroids and the heavier pain meds and all that kind of stuff. We went to the vet on Monday and his eye at that point was bulging and sore. Now that happens with his Horners, and he has a scar like on that eyeball because he's had a bad scratch on that eyeball. There's actually a scar under his eyelid, or there was. But so when I took him in there on Monday, like she looked at it and she didn't really see anything wrong with it. We were mostly dealing with the IBDD. But by Friday, that eyeball had a hole in it. Like he looked up at me on Friday, or Thursday or Friday. I think it was Friday. And he, like, there was actually a hole, like it had ulcerated. And I was like, oh my God. And I could tell he was in a lot of pain. He was really keeping that eye shut. And so I called the vet and I was like, hey, Finn's eye is worse. Can I bring him in? Do y'all have any appointments? And they did, thankfully, again, like twice in 1 week to be able to get an appointment. I was so grateful. But I was able to get him in that afternoon and, or like mid morning. And they were like, yeah, he's got an ulcer. Let's stitch that eye shut. And so they stitched it shut to let it heal. It was supposed to be throw one stitch, let it heal for a few weeks kind of thing. Now they did have to very briefly put him under for that, which was scary, but she was like, it is so minimal because it's one stitch. Like we just have to get him out enough to be still, really. So on Friday, like that's all he had, but he came home in a cone that he could not walk in. And so I ended up getting him a little bit smaller cone. That was my bad because I didn't realize he could move it and still get to his eye. But anyway, from the moment, even before I switched the cone, he had like the next day, this just massive amount of green, super gooey, disgusting green pus, and like copious amounts of green pus coming out of his eyeball, out of where they had sewn it shut. I was constantly having to wipe it because I'm always concerned about his little wrinkles. They do get super inflamed, especially this time of year with the allergies. We have just gotten over a huge rash for that. And so I was trying to wipe it, but of course that was hurting him and it just kept happening. This green stuff, I thought maybe because they just did it, like it's just draining. It just kept happening. It got worse. And so by Sunday, I was like, he was getting more uncomfortable. And so by Sunday, I was like, I'm definitely going to have to take him back into the vet and have this looked at and just make sure he's okay because he was in more pain. Not screeching or anything just yet, but so I called in and I was like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to make it again tomorrow because I got to take him back in for this eye thing. And then I called the vet the next morning, on Monday morning, very early. I actually sent them a text because that's how we communicate. And I was like, hey, I think I need to bring him in. His eye is really oozing. I sent and I just hit send on that, walked out of the room. And the next thing I know, I turned my back for a second and I just hear his ear piercing screech of pain. And the only other time I've really heard him scream like that is last year when his IBDD flared so badly that he completely lost control of his back end. Like we had no use of our legs. And he actually almost died because he was in so much pain that he started breathing heavy, and then that caused an airway issue. It was a nightmare. So when I heard that screech, to say that was like a whole, like my whole like body felt that. I was like, oh no. And I turned and he was coming towards me, and there was just a big giant piece of I don't know how to describe it other than like matter, like almost like how you would pop a zit, but it was also bloody. And it was just on his face. Like that had come out of his eyeball. It wasn't just the green goo that he usually had. This looked different. And he was literally every movement and even just trying to move his eyes, screeching in this pain. So I quickly was like, oh no, is his back up? I think it's his eye. And so I just grabbed my phone and called the vet and was like, hey, I know I just texted you, but I have to bring him in like right now. Something just happened. And like, I sent him the picture of that stuff on his face. And I was like, he is screeching in pain. And they were like, yes, bring him on in. And so they got us in very quickly. I showed up about the time they opened and the vet was getting there. They got him in there really quickly. And she was like, they take him back. And he's screeching in pain. And she was like, we're going to pop that stitch and see what's going on in there. And so they go back there and pop that stitch real quick, just with him wide awake. And he, of course, screeches. But then even when they're not touching him, he's still screeching, just like he was with me. And they're like, we're not touching him. We're not doing that. And I was like, I know he's literally hurting. And so I guess his cornea had gotten way worse or ruptured. And this scratch and this scar has been a problem for a long time, especially with the Horners, because that eyeball will bulge and he scratches it and reopens that so easily. But this time it actually like ulcerated really badly. And so I didn't see it at first. She popped the stitch and she comes in and she's like, yeah, it's pretty bad. And I could tell she was about to give me my options. And I was just like, do we just need to take the eyeball? Just take the eyeball. Just take it. Just take it. And she was like, yes, ultimately, that is probably the best scenario. We can restitch it shut. We can do drops, restitch it shut, whatever, and wait again. She said, but this is with the way he is and just from past history with him, we know this is going to keep happening. And if it's obviously just getting worse every time it happens, I just instantly, again, going with my gut. I just was like, take the eyeball. Like, I cannot see him in pain like this. Take the eyeball. And she looks at me and she's like, you know what the breathing is? She's like, we have to knock him out a little longer for this. And I was like, I know he's going to make it through this. He's going to be the coolest pirate ever. Just do it. And even if he doesn't make it through, at least I tried. So I left him there and he had eyeball surgery yesterday. They removed his eyeball. And I really was prepared to be super stressed about this again for so many reasons. I can't afford all this time off. I am now going to have to, he made it through. He is home. He is snoring very loudly in the background, heavily drugged, and the cutest little pirate you've ever seen in your life. But I am so grateful that he made it. But I never in any of that like panicked and freaked out like I did last year with the IVDD thing. I was able to just be, here's what we're going to do. If taking his eyeball is the best option, I'm going to be the first one to throw it out there. I just want to get to the end game here with him in a good way. I just want him to not hurt and be okay. And if this is one tiny thing, I know I can't fix his back, but if we can fix this, let's do that. And so we did. And again, he's here and he's good. And we are adjusting as best we can to one eyeball. He hasn't actually quite woke up all the way yet, I don't think, to experience it. Right now, he is just very pissed off about the cone and that he cannot eat or drink by himself. But yeah, that is how my hurricane season is going as of literally right this moment, because I just got him home about 24 hours ago from that surgery. And I just kept waiting to panic, to overthink it, to break down, to be like, why is all this shit happening? And maybe I just haven't gotten there yet. Maybe that's coming. I don't know. But as of right now, I'm holding it together. Like, I really am okay, which again is just so interesting to me because, first of all, yes, fuck November because shit just goes wrong. But I'm able to just be okay with it, or even just like really laugh about it. Yeah, my hurricane season has been, or big grief season, it has been interesting and expensive. But so worth it. So worth it. Every single moment. I have learned something. either about the world or myself. Yeah, I feel like I'm doing okay, or I have lost my mind. Unsure at the moment. But I think I am actually doing okay. I think the work is paying off, all those hills and learning how to set my pace and what I can and can't tolerate. I think it's finally paying off, and it's just becoming more natural to me instead of spinning out. Now, don't get me wrong. In each one of those moments, I spun out for just a second. I was cussing so hard, but 100% so far. Again, that main goal, and I should have said it better in the beginning, but that main goal was to have more laughter than tears. And 100% that one across the board. There has been so much more laughter and really no big tears. No. But we still have a long way to go. I still haven't reached Thanksgiving or the anniversary of Jeff's death, but doing good. And honestly excited to see what's to come, because I would love no more like things to break. I would like for things to just work. Rest of the big grief season, please. No more broke. What the hell else? No, I shouldn't even say that. What else can I break? Everything has broken except me. Let's keep it that way. But yeah, it's been a pretty good one so far. And I'm actually really excited about the holidays and stuff coming up, because I have connected with more people. So I will be out like doing more things and stuff like that. So I have some plans in progress. I've again heard from several people. And so I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing, where I'm spending the holidays, here, there, where, all over the place, what days. Yeah. So far, so good with this check-in. I hope it keeps up, minus the breaking shit. But yeah, still a lot of stress coming, still a lot to figure out. But so far, we've got this. Yay, go me. So, like I said, it has been a very interesting big grief season so far, but a good one. And goals are being met, like unexpected ways, but hey, it's happening, right? Like I'm attaining my goals in a roundabout way. Just not how I expected. But one of my goals, of course, as always, is be the light in someone's day, even if it's my own. And I have actually, in these last few weeks, had some really cool moments where people have actually said that to me or something similar. And so I didn't just have to be the light in my own day. I actually was in someone else's, and that felt really good, because people don't usually say that. But I have had some really cool ones, and I just want to journal about them quickly. I had a lady, when I was doing jury duty, I went into the store real quick to grab some flowers. And the lady there we had a great conversation. She gave me a beautiful rose. And then I actually, later in the week, like that rose just made my heart smile all week. I won't lie. And then when it started to fall apart, it was sitting here on the cabinet, and it was beautiful. And so I grabbed the camera and actually took some pictures. So that was a win. Just the light in my own day. And that was nice. And she was the light in mine on that particular day. But another day I was in Tractor Supply buying some stuff to help out with the farm animals. And I was looking for something in particular, and there was a lady helping me, and she was so nice. And I was just kind of like laughing, joking about like widowhood on a farm. And she, at one point, as we were wrapping up the conversation, she was like, I am so glad that I talked to you today. She said, I love your spirit. And that made me feel really good. So that kind of filled up my heart energy a little bit, and just made me feel like, all right, hey, I went out and made somebody else feel good too. At least I wasn't crying. Because when it comes to the farm, I can be crying. So it felt good in that moment to be like having a farm fall apart, and this lady's, I love your spirit, like you're trying, you're doing so good. That was really nice. And then I of course, had multiple people acknowledge my hair, and just had some great moments with that. I had another with jury duty. I met some great people. So when I was at Western Days, I ran into all of them, and that felt really awesome to have people to talk to. Like, it was just so nice to have all that like extra light this time of year, especially because I can get really dark. Oh my gosh. But one of the other ones I ran to, again, I've been trying to just be in the moment and do more things. And I've been helping my son a lot with stuff here on the farm that he's fixing for me that I have broken. And I went to town, like into the big city, to help him out to pick up some metal that he had bought to make a roof for his RTV. And I had some great encounters and met some great people while I was there that day. Awesome. I ran into Lowe's, and standing outside were two kids that, I mean, they were probably younger than my son, my youngest son. And they were doing like a fundraiser or something. And I didn't pay attention to it on my way in. I was just focused on what I was there to pick up because my son had ordered it and I just had to pick it up. I couldn't find the counter. So I was focused on that. I saw them and I did not pay attention to what they were peddling. They were talking to somebody. So I just walked on by, but then on my way out, I had to walk past them again. And again, they were talking to somebody. So I was like, ooh, don't have to do that. And so I go to walk by, but then I saw the t-shirt on the table and it said, I am enough. And so I was like, oh, like, I wonder what, okay, I'm just going to listen. Like, I just want to see what it is. But they were distracted. And so I just kind of reached over and tried to look at it and see what it was. And it was pretty cool. And so at that point, one of them starts to talk to me and we have a really great conversation. And of course, they want a donation. I only had $20. And they were like, we take debit card. And I was sitting there thinking, yeah, me too, but there's nothing on mine. I was like, I have $20 I can give you. I know that's not even what your lowest donation is, but it's all I've got right now. I'm sorry. And we just had a really cool conversation about what they were doing and fundraising for, which was suicide awareness, especially veteran suicide awareness, which I super appreciate, and getting drugs out of school, which I had just sat on a jury for something similar. So it was really cool. It just felt like a moment to connect. And as I was leaving, and I'm very apologetically, I'm sorry, I can't give you more. I'm literally broke widow here. Sorry. And they gave me a t-shirt. They actually gave me one for, it was supposed to be $30, but I only had the 20. But they did give me the shirt that says, I am enough. So thank you. I love it. I've worn it. But as I was leaving, the young man said to me, like, thank you for stopping. And thank you for being such a light in the darkness. And I was just like stunned for a second. I was like, whoa, because that's like how I end all my, like I say that all the time. And so that was a really big moment for me. It felt, I was just like, wow, like that felt really good. I'm so glad I stopped. And it just felt good that I'm finally being a light again, because for so long I haven't been able to. So it felt good to light up the room once again a little bit by just being nice, by being aware, paying attention, and having empathy and giving a crap about other people. So I guess that's how I am sustaining the high winds through my hurricane season, just trying to knock out these goals as best I can one by one. But it has been definitely, like I said earlier, it has been much more laughter than tears. I do know that the tears are probably coming, that they can still show up. I still have to get through the holidays. I have to get through the anniversary of Jeff's death. But I can tell you this at this point, I can say this to myself. I'm not the what ifs, if onlys, those things just aren't coming up. The overthinking, the anxiety, even in this huge stress, it's just not bubbling over. And that feels good. It feels weird. But it does feel like I am doing better. I'm more in control of it. And or it's just not showing up. Still processing that. That's going to take more processing. But yeah, I would say so far, this hurricane grief season, holiday season, anniversary season for me is actually going unexpectedly well. Again, like I said, because the beginning of this year was just so bad. Like, honestly, the worst it's been in a really long time, just out of nowhere. And so I just didn't know what to expect. So the fact that things are actually going pretty good, I think, and I'm handling things well, says a lot about all the work I have done to just be okay, and the lessons I have learned and put into practice. Like, really, this takes so much. Like, you have to practice being like, okay, it's like, I am I felt that jolt of anxiety when that dog screeched, but I've got to be okay right now and get him taken care of. I cannot lose it like I did last thing. I'm feeling pretty good about that. I'm giving myself as much grace as I can right now. I am aware that there is a lot more stress to come, but hopefully I am just holding out, and this is going to continue in a good way. No more little catastrophes, that we are only going to go up from here, and that the holidays are going to be really good, that I'm going to get to spend it with people I love and cherish and value and make great memories. Yeah, I am actually looking really forward to it this year. Even though I don't have firm plans just yet, I am actually working on it finally. Have heard from a few people and trying to figure out what I'm going to do. But setting that up kind of as I'm doing this. Yeah, right now, as of the 4th of November, 2025, hurricane season has been hell on wheels, but so have I, and it's been good. So just going to keep flying by the seat of my pants with my hair on fire and do my best to be the light in someone's day, even if it's my own, and the laughter, because I just need it right now. Anyway, that is this episode of Widow Wit Wisdom, Hurricane Sarah update. So how it's going, and just kind of my personal process journal, how I process all this out. So now I am going to go pet my dog and then sit down and transcript this and journal it, turn it into something usable, hopefully. I'll see you next time here at Widow Wit and Wisdom. Please remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. And if there's anything you would like me to talk about or go into further depth on outside the personal stuff, please feel free to, again, comment, share, or contact me via email at widowwitandwisdom@gmail.com. I'll see y'all next time. Thanks. Bye.